What's up, Dragon Brood? We are on now day 4 of previews for Secrets of Strixhaven, and we're just going to hop right in. So we have Artistic Process. It's 3 red, red. It's a sorcery. Choose one. Artistic Process deals 6 damage to target creature. Artistic Process deals 2 damage to each creature you don't control. Or or just create a 3/3 blue and red elemental creature token with flying and gains haste till end of turn. This is fine. I mean, 5 mana is a lot to deal 6 to something or to deal 2 to everything, which I'd assume are going to be the two most popular choices. 3/3 red elemental creature with flying. It looks like there's going to be a few cards in the set that do this. So I think this is more of just, if you get it in limited, it's good because it gives you a lot of options on one card. And in limited play, 5 mana isn't unreal. But for constructed play, we're not playing this realistically. I can't imagine in any 60 card deck. I guess, let me say this. There is a world where maybe because of Opus, there's some world you might want to play this because it's a 5 mana spell. But realistically, we're probably not playing this. Splatter Technique. It's 1 blue, blue, red, red. So 5 mana for sorcery. You choose one. You either draw 4 cards, or it deals 4 damage to each creature and planeswalker. Okay. Well, think about this. We just looked at a card that was 5 mana to deal 2 to everything. Now, granted, it's single color, but you can now pay 5 between 2 colors and deal 4 to everything. So that already somewhat discredits the last card we talked about. This also not just deals to creatures, but deals to planeswalkers. Admittedly, the other one does deal 2 to creatures you don't own, so it wouldn't hit your own stuff. But this is 4 damage to each creature and planeswalker, or draw 4 cards. For 5 mana at sorcery speed. I think this is still going to be playable. Partly because there are some ways you could play this for free, and then just getting 4 cards on the cheap is good. You know, any way that you could copy it or whatever could also be fantastic. So I think there's going to be some ways this gets some play. I don't think this is like a 4 of in a deck, but 1 or 2 copies makes a lot of sense in a few different decks. Deluge Virtuoso. 2 and a blue for a 2/2 human wizards. It's a common. When this creature enters, tap target creature an opponent controls and put a stun counter on it. Opus, whenever you cast an instant sorcery spell, this creature gets +1/+1 to end of turn. If the cost was 5 or more, this creature gets +2/+2 to end their turn. Yeah, it's fine. Again, limited fodder. You can play it, tap a thing down for a couple turns. Seems fine. Mana Sculpt. 1 blue, blue. It's an instant. Counter target spell. If you control a wizard, add an amount of colorless mana equal to the amount of mana spent to cast that spell at the beginning of your next main phase. Alright, so you outright counter a spell for 3. Then if you control a wizard, add an amount of colorless mana equal to the amount of mana spent to the spell that you countered at the beginning of your next main phase. Alright, so if you control a wizard, you counter a spell, let's say it costs 3, then you have 3 additional mana to spend next turn. I'm here for it. I mean, this also works in decks where you might be wanting to try to cast some more expensive things, right? Because there's no restriction on how you spend that colorless mana. So it could be for a next big creature. It could be to fuel some big spell or split it between a couple of spells. So yeah, this card's pretty good. One of the better counter spells we've seen in a while. And because it doesn't seem to care what the spell is that you countered or how to spend the mana, this has potential to show up in quite a few places. Like this is the type of card that if you were to play it on turn 2 or 3 to counter something, could completely shift the game. To the point that I could even see some mono green decks that are splashing blue potentially playing this, because countering something on turn 2 or 3 then means like whatever big ridiculous thing you have just can hit the board on turn 4, right? Or turn 5. Like, it's pretty wild. This is a kind of a crazy card in a way. All right, this one looks like it needed a translation, but it's translated as DIY Golem. It is 7 mana, 5 white, white. It's a sorcery. It's a lesson. Return target non-land permanent card from your graveyard to the battlefield. All right. Yeah, like this is just 7 mana, return anything from your graveyard to the battlefield. It also has Paradigm, which means like it's exiled and then you can copy it pretty much every turn. So yeah, this card, This card's good. This card's scary, actually. I don't know what deck wants this yet, but if this resolves, it could be a consistent problem. Group Project. 1 and a white for sorcery. Create a 2/2 red and white spirit creature token. It has flashback. Tap 3 untapped creatures you control to make another one. This is okay. It's a sorcery, so I'm not excited about it, but it's not terrible. And if you're playing something that just cares about cards leaving your graveyard, then yeah, this makes a lot of sense, right? You play this, it's a 2 mana, 2/2, basically make you a red white bear. Happens to be a spirit, and there's other things that are payoffs for that. And then you're like, cool, I'll tap some creatures, get another 2/2, so it's not like I'm completely shields down. And I get to trigger all my stuff that cares about things leaving the graveyard. So yeah, this isn't like a stellar card, but it's a quality role player in the decks that want it. Garrison Excavator, 3 and a red, so 4 mana for a 3/4 Orc Sorcerer. It does have Menace. Whenever one or more cards leave your graveyard, create a 2/2 red and white spirit creature token. Well, these kind of go together, right? Now, I don't know if this is good enough to play in a 60 card deck. However, if you are doing a lot of things that remove stuff from your graveyard, well, it's quite possible to just have this and get free dudes every turn. And don't forget, there are cards we can play, like the Ooze or whatever, that just remove a card from your graveyard every turn. Because it doesn't say any type of creature card or whatever, it just says a card or one or more cards leave your graveyard. So this could be worth it, right? Play it as a 3/4, tap something, remove a thing from your graveyard, and you got another 2/2, and then you just get the 2/2s every turn from there. Like, seems reasonable. Muse's Encouragement. 4 and a blue for an instant. It's a common. Create a 3/3 blue and red elemental creature token with flying. Surveil 2. Meh. In limited, absolutely you could play it because it's a combat trick. Makes you a 3/3 flyer, and you get to Surveil 2, so that's solid. But we're not playing this in any type of 60 card format. Again, maybe there's a world where Opus matters. Then sure, getting to trigger all your stuff and get a 3/3 and scry is fine. I don't know if we know what that world looks like yet, so for now I would say this isn't going to be that playable. Expressive Firedancer, 1 in a red for a 2/2 human sorcerer with Opus. Whenever you cast an instant sorcery spell, this creature gets +1/+1 till end of turn. If 5 or more mana was spent to cast that spell, this creature also gains double strike till end of turn. So it's a 2/2 for 2 with prowess, and if you spend 5 or more on a spell, it gets double strike. Probably not going to get played, but it's not bad just because it can fit into some prowess builds and occasionally have double strike. But realistically, we're probably not going to see a lot of this one either. There's a card just called Flashback. That's not going to be confusing at any point, but it's a red mana. It's an instant. Target instant or sorcery card in your graveyard gains flashback until end of turn. The flashback cost is equal to its mana cost. Okay, I mean, again, if you care about a deck that wants things relieving the graveyard, right, to trigger stuff, why not? Right? This lets you just replay stuff and you get a little extra value. Like, yeah. I don't think this is crazy, but I will say this. There are actually some scenarios in older formats where being able to give anything flashback could be really good because there's a lot of like self-mill, dredge, whatever type stuff that this could be pretty decent with. So it could be one of those cards that's not crazy to start with, but one to keep your eye on because as there's more cards and more spells and more ways to fill your graveyard, it's a card that's only going to get better over time. Rapturous Moment. 4 red, blue, sorcery. Draw 3 cards, then discard 2 cards, and add blue, blue, red, red, red. Okay, so this one's really interesting because it's 6 mana, but technically only cost 1 because you get a 5 mana rebate. So you could play a card or 2 that you just drew if it makes sense, right? Like it's draw 3, discard 2. So if this is the only thing in your hand, you're only going to end up with 1 card. But I don't know, like the fact that it gives you mana back, and again, if there's a way you could play it for free, or you could play it out of your graveyard with copy some effect or whatever, then you're kind of netting mana while netting cards could be very good. So this is one of those tricky cards that on its face might just be okay, but if you can create the right scenario, this could be very good, especially in situations where you can make stuff reduce the cost of a spell, because then you're just outright netting a bunch of mana, which could be very good. Because there's a lot of ways to reduce colorless mana in spells. It's possible. Not saying it's going to happen. If it shows up anywhere, it's probably one particular deck in standard if it happens, but it could be very powerful in that one deck it shows up in. Borrowed Knowledge, 2, red white, sorcery, choose 1. Discard your hand, then draw cards equal to the number of cards in target opponent's hand. Okay. Discard your hand, then draw cards equal to the number of cards discarded this way. So they're both discard and draw. It's just either draw equal to the number of cards your opponent has, or draw equal to the number of cards you discarded. This is weird because on its face, I don't think it's spectacular. However, if we're talking about decks that want to fill their graveyard and play stuff out of the yard or whatever, like this is the type of card those decks might want, right? Of just making sure, hey, I got stuff in my graveyard. Now I have other cards in play that can remove all these things that I've now seeded the graveyard with. So, I mean, a couple of copies probably show up in a few places, but it's fine for an uncommon. I don't think it's crazy. It's just okay. Suspend Aggression, 1 red-white instant, exile target non-land permanent, and the top card of your library. For each of those cards, its owner may play it until the end of their next turn. Oh, this is weirded so awkwardly. All right, so exile any non-land permanent, could be yours or your opponent's, and the top card of your library. Then, for those cards, their owners may play them until the end of their next turn. So, if you do it to an opponent's thing to buy yourself a turn, because maybe it's going to be the kill shot or something, they still get a chance to play it until the end of their next turn. So you probably want to be targeting your own things most of the time. And then if it's a blink effect or something, or an enters the battlefield type ability, you get that again. But if you target, see, here's what's funny, because then if you target both of them are your things, then there's a chance you only get to play one of them because you don't have enough mana for both. So yeah, this is a weird card. I don't know how to value this. It reads like you can figure out something really good to do with this. I just don't know exactly what I want to be doing with it yet. Now, it could also work with some decks or cards that say, you know, when something's played from Exile or that type of thing, then this could be really good. And there's a few of those that exist right now. So maybe it just fits with cards in a deck that we're not really eyeballing right now, that's not even anywhere near the meta, but makes a few other cards better. Emeritus of Conflict, 1 in a red for a 2/2 human wizard. This is a mythic, so it's probably going to be good. It has first strike. Whenever you cast your third spell each turn, this creature becomes prepared. And then you get a lightning bolt. Just a red, pay 1 red, deal 3 damage. Actually, 3 mana 2/2 with first strike is actually okay. However, this card doesn't enter the battlefield prepared. So you would either need one of the other cards or the land that we saw on, I think, day 1 that can prepare a creature so that you can have access to lightning bolts every turn, right? Which honestly might be worth it. I mean, just every turn being able to say, like, this creature's prepared. Now I can pay 1 and hit you with a lightning bolt or get rid of a creature is probably worthwhile, especially with something that has first strike, because you can effectively take down 5 toughness attackers, right? If you're blocking. So yeah, this is an interesting card because I don't think it automatically goes in a red deck. But if we're willing to work for prepared, maybe. Now, I will say this, though. There are some red decks where this could play, where they're trying to just play like Slick Shot and play 3 spells in a turn or whatever. Because you get credit for your Slick Shot, which is 1. You play your first 2 spells, which are pumping your Slick Shot. Now you have access to a Lightning Bolt, which also triggers a Slick Shot and whatever. So it could show up in those types of decks. It's a very interesting card. I don't know how good it is, but there's at least some realistic scenarios where it could live. I'm not even going to read the name that this is translated to because there's no way this is accurate. But it is a colorless white sorcery. Create 2 red and white spirit creature tokens If the spell was cast from anywhere other than your hand, put a +1/+1 counter on each spirit you control. It has flashback of 4 white. Okay, so the card we were just talking about earlier that can exile things or whatever, right? If this is on top of your library and gets exiled, well, then now you get the bonus of putting all the counters on your spirit stuff. I like this card, though, in general. It's 3 mana to make 2/2/2s, which is great on rate, right? You paid 3 mana for a 4/4, basically. And if you play it from the graveyard or from anywhere other than your hand because you exiled it or whatever, then you get to put a +1/+1 on each spirit, not just these spirits when they resolve, just every spirit you control. So yeah, if I'm playing a deck that already cares about spirits or, you know, the exile from graveyard things or whatever, yeah, I'd probably give this a look. Erode. Just a single white mana for an instant. Destroy target creature or planeswalker. Its controller may search their library for a basic land card, put it on the battlefield, tap, then shuffle. Wait, so we're just getting Path to Exile that also targets planeswalkers? What? Really? Oh my goodness. Okay, that's exactly what it says. Its controller may search your library for a basic land card, put it on the battlefield, tapped, then shuffle. I'm surprised it doesn't just let you go search for a land, period. I mean, the fact that the land's also tapped is solid, I guess. Wow. Wow. Okay, there's not a lot to say here. We know Path to Exile is good. This is Path to Exile that can also get rid of planeswalkers. Congratulations if you like playing cheap white removal spells. Practice Scrollsmith. This is red, white, and a Boros mana. So your choice of 3 there. Dwarf Cleric, first strike. When this creature enters, exile target non-creature, non-land card from your graveyard. Until the end of your next turn, you may cast that card. It's a 3/2. Well, speaking of, we were just talking about it. Like, you play that sorcery, make 2 guys. You play this on the next turn, you exile the sorcery. Then the following turn, you get to make more spirits and pump all your spirits, right? These all go together. So this makes sense. This is just quality anyway. The fact that you can target a non-creature, non-land card from your graveyard means you can target anything. So, you know, even Erode to get rid of a creature, play the... Actually, you could Erode, play this. If it's turn 4, then you just get to play the Erode again from your graveyard, get rid of 2 things, right? Like, that's a real thing that can happen. So, yeah, a little bit of a crazy card, I think. It's almost like Snapcaster for red-white. Because it lets you target so much more than just spells, right? Because while it does say non-land, non-creature, there's still artifacts, there's still enchantments to go along with those spells you can target, and it has first strike. Now, all colored mana and the cost, so you got to figure that out or whatever, but yeah, this is a very solid card. This can show up in several decks, not even trying to be cheeky with spirits or whatever, just trying to effectively use all of its spells. Lightning bolts, lightning helix, all that stuff could all be possible. Yeah, I don't know, y'all. Today is crazy. I think we're just gonna have to title this like, today we got a better Path to Exile and a better counter spell. Like, this is crazy. Like, you're talking about power in this set. It is nuts. And we have lightning bolt on a stick. Y'all tell me, man. Like, I don't know what's happening. I don't know how y'all feel about today's previews, but let me know in the comments. Be sure to like, subscribe, check out the other previews because this set has been bananas. That's all I have for you for now. We'll see you next time.